premarital sex, and that is number one, you will get pregnant. If you engage in premarital sex, you get pregnant, and that's the end of your future. That's the end of your school. You'll be ruined. Maybe in the back seat of a car, maybe in a swimming pool, crowded swimming pool, maybe in a park, maybe in a place where you can just stand and do your stuff. There's this dark, tall, handsome guy here in church. The guy can sing, man. And me, I love singing. Like, how old was I? I have no idea. I was sitting in church and just go like this, as if my flies will come in my mouth there. You had to tell me to pick it up. You know, when growing up, normally when you go to a party or maybe a banquet and then you see the MC just take their glasses and they do like this, it means they want to call your attention for something. So I'm doing this to call your attention. Growing up, there are three things that they tell you and that are so important when it comes to sex outside of marriage. Premarital sex, and that is number one, you will get pregnant. If you engage in premarital sex, you get pregnant, and that's the end of your future. That's the end of your school. You'll be ruined. The second is that you get sexually transmitted infections. So you have to be mindful. And then the third is the Bible categorically made it clear that premarital sex, as a believer, you should not engage in it because it condemns it and reserves sex within the confines of marriage. Now, out of these three things that I've named, one is holding ground, and that is the biblical condemnation of premarital sex. For sexually transmitted infections, antibiotic was created to sort out and cure most of them, even though all is not cured, but most of them can be cured with antibiotics. That's the reality. Let's just be honest. And of course, you have contraceptives, you have safe practices. So except if you are just naive and intentionally want to get pregnant, these days, there's so much that has polluted the system that can keep you having sex outside of marriage and still not be pregnant. And because of that, that's why Sex in the Temple today is taking this opportunity to talk about premarital sex, the advantages and disadvantages. What is premarital sex? Premarital sex basically is you being in a committed relationship with a guy, or a guy being in a relationship with a girl. I'm focusing on heterosexual relationships. And they come together because of the bond they share. They are not married yet, but they are sexually active, they are sexually intimate. And you stay in this relationship for some time, and the more you stay, the more you get to be intimate. There are highs and there are lows. One of the highs is because it gives you a feel of knowing whether you and this person that you're dating, should you decide to get married, will you be sexually compatible? That's a mouthful, right? I can hear you say, did she just say that? Yes. If we are honest with ourselves, you and I know that the reason why we get to do that is not only because of the heat of the moment. We want to ensure that this person, we are sexually compatible. And another thing why we engage in that is also to make us feel belong. There are certain groups that you belong, and if they know you're not sexually intimate, you don't have any sexual experience or exposure, you are not the guy, you're not the lady. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you have to know your way around the man and get him to pleasure the man. And then You see what I'm talking about? This is what exactly I'm talking about. I mean, you need to know your way around. It's an art. It takes a long time to get to master the skill. So now that you have mastered it, you are part of us. So you don't want to be socially isolated. You want to belong in this group. And because you want to belong, you engage in it. But there's also a downside to it because most of the time, I don't know for other people, but for most of the time, especially for young people, this intimacy does not occur in an ideal place. It occurs in a place that is generally not ideal. Maybe in the back seat of a car, maybe in a swimming pool, crowded swimming pool, maybe in a park, maybe in a place where you can just stand and do your stuff. And because it is not ideal, there is a rush which leaves you, the lady, unsatisfied. And so just think that for a whole relationship for a year or two, you engage in it, you develop a poor sexual intimacy pattern that becomes so difficult to get rid of when you get married because the conditions are not really ideal. And another thing is that it clouds your judgment when when you engage in this. What do you mean? I'm glad you asked. The heat of the moment makes you focus on the intimacy more than judging the character of the person. Especially so if the lady or the guy is really good at what he does, very romantic, I mean, take you to a place that you've never been before in terms of your pleasurable experience and your exposure. Now it comes to this place that you focus now on the sex more than judging the character. And then when sex is taken out, you realize that all that kept us was sex. There's no foundation, there's nothing. So this can also be another downside to it. You will not be able to distinguish between genuine love and infatuation. Come to think of it, have you ever had a crush? Crushes, yeah. They have a way of turning you upside down and leaving you helpless. I want to share this with you. God, have mercy. Yay, save me. Okay, you're too excited. I think I should leave it for the next time. What do you think? Can I come back and do it? Or I should say it? All right, your ears are itchy already, so I should say it. So, how old were you when you had a crush? And who was your crush? I want you to type it in the comment section so that I will know that, okay, all of you guys had crush. I was not the only one who had crush. There was this dark, tall, handsome guy here in church. The guy can sing, man. And me, I love singing. Like, how old was I? I have no idea. I was sitting in church and just go like this, as if my flies will come in my mouth. There, you had to tell me to pick it up. As young as I was. And then 10 years after, and I say, thank you, Jesus. Glory be to your high and holy name. That it was just a crush as a child. As life happened to him. And I saw this guy. I was like, I can only imagine what will have happened to me. So sometimes you get to this place when invitation takes over your emotions and you forget. You won't be able to distinguish between real love. And all you had is sex. And when the sex is taken, you're lost. So sometimes the reason why people stay in a relationship as they engage in premarital sex is just the thrill. The thrill it brings. A big thrills, yeah? Yeah. Let's be honest. The pleasure in sex is not taken away from sex just because you're having it outside of marriage. And some people, if they're honest with each other, the best sex, the very best sex they've ever had was outside of marriage. I just said that. That's the reality. So people engage in it because of the thrill. And there's this guilt, especially if you're coming from a religious background, when you just engage in it and you feel so guilty. You feel really down. And you're fighting within yourself to say, I want to stop this. One thing about this, it's not something that you can just pull the plug on and put it off. If you hadn't had an experience, that's okay. We understand. When you have had an experience, and as a woman, the hormones are acting up at a particular time of the month, all you need is warmth, touch, love. And you're still single, and then you're still dating the guy, and you're doing how do you call it, BSc, how many years? 4 years. And then you hit the master's level, and then you do national service, and then you do PhD. You don't have any years, yeah, those long relationships that can hit from 5 to 7. Boy, oh boy, tell me, it's not easy staying away from that. So it keeps you in a place where you don't want to continue to do it, but then you want to do it, and then it leaves you sad, and then it leaves you really frustrated, and what do I do? Also, sometimes the sexual response, yeah, during premarital sex, most likely will be incomplete and doesn't satisfy you, especially if you're in a rush. And one of the things that is very dangerous growing up in the countryside, I don't know for the cities, hide and seek. That's a recipe for disaster. You know them hide and seek? Where you already communicate that I'm going to go to this place and you come and meet me. And because there are people around, the response may not be as pleasurable as you want it, especially if it's in a hurry. And so there is this bond that exists. There is this unique thing that pulls you together as a husband and wife when you're intimate for the first time. And for those people, those of you who have stayed chaste until you got married, you realize that there's this bond. But premarital sex has a way of eroding that bond. Because you go for the moon, the honey, you don't chop clear. So that bond is very important, and sometimes they help keep couple together. It depends on their intentionality, and it depends on their perspective in life. So why am I saying this? I'm just saying that as a people, we engage in this. And as a people, we don't talk about it. And as a church, we cannot talk about it in a way that is more like evil and judgmental, but people engage in it. But I want you to know, if you find yourself in a situation like that, and you reach out and ask God for help, He will help you. You might be in the middle of a hot, steamy sex, and then all of a sudden, God switched off the lights. He does switch off the lights. And then you ask yourself, so, my lady, what's going on? Of all the days, you might be in the middle of a threesome that you're so excited about getting that experience. And then God can switch off the lights and then reaches out to you. So I believe that God reaches out to us even in our mess, coming from a religious background. The struggles and the pain and the shame and the guilt that you bear, God reaches out to you. Growing up, they say God doesn't go to the club. The angel doesn't go there. Because if he goes there, what will happen is that blah, blah, blah. I don't believe in that. I don't use fear. I don't want us to use fear to make people stop doing the wrong thing. I want us to talk about it in a manner that will help them to make informed choices. So you might be in the middle of a hot and steamy sex threesome, and God can reach out to you and pull you from there, and then clean you up, and then set you in a path that brings glory to his name. No wonder in Isaiah 1:18 and 19, he says, come now, let's talk about it. It's God want us to talk. But we don't talk about it as a church. We cover it up and we make it look really bad. But here at Sex in the Temple, we don't scratch the surface, we go deep. So I say to you, wherever you are, God will find you. God will find you, God will talk to you, and you bring it to a place where you will make healthy choices. This is Sex in the Temple, and my name is Monique. Stay safe out there.